Welcome to the Undrafted Armchair Quarterbacks. We're Jim and Joe, lifelong friends, lifelong fans, bringing you fan-driven sports talk the way real fans do. No overpaid experts, no scripted analysis, just honest takes on the games, players, and the big stories shaping sports right now.
That's right, Joe. And folks, we want you to be a part of it too. Drop your comments, questions, and takes. We'll read them all and bring them into future shows. So please hit like, subscribe, and join us in the conversation every week for free on YouTube and Spotify and wherever you listen. Happy Friday, Joe.
Wow, we made it.
Yep.
Friday, almost. Well, it's still late morning, so let's not get overconfident, but we are optimistic.
Yes, sir.
It's a beautiful Friday so far here in North Georgia. Weather's looking a little bit more fallish out here, but still surviving in the upper 60s, low 70s. But it does feel like football, which we are going to talk about. We have a lot of football to talk about in this episode. Before we get to that, football related, but on a little more somber note, I think you wanted to talk about somebody near and dear to our hearts.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, prayers and support have been outstanding for Bernie Kosar. Led the Hurricanes to their first national championship ever in 1983. And it was really awesome to see a Cleveland Browns fan donate his liver for Bernie. So, yeah, heartfelt and go Bernie. Can't think of many quarterbacks through the years that played in college and starred in college and went to the NFL that had a higher football IQ than that man.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the classic cases of not the most athletically gifted, at least with his legs and all that, but made up for it with his brain. That's for sure, and very competitive as well.
Yeah. And a little story I saw about him, which I thought was great. He ran a 5.6 40-yard dash.
Mm, yes. I think you and I probably could beat that pretty easily, especially if someone yelled last call. But like I said, he didn't lead the NFL in rushing yards or anything, that's for sure. But hey, he's beloved, obviously, and everyone, a lot of people know Bernie. Hey, Bernie he enjoyed his beverages, and so it's good that he's not that I'm judging or anything, but clean that up, and it's really nice of that fan. The liver's a mysterious organ, um, but I guess they go in there and take a portion of your liver and transplant it, and it kind of does its thing. So kind of scary, but hey, that's pretty brave of that fan. So get well soon, Bernie, and Godspeed on your journey here. And you're in our prayers for sure.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so thanks for highlighting that. Um, Before we get into the pigskin, listen, on the undrafted armchair quarterbacks, we cover everything. So there's a lot of other things going on than just football. Hard to believe, especially on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Monday night or a Thursday. But um, I think it's good to kind of talk about a few of the pretty big things going on outside of the world of football. And we were talking before the show about the Stephen A. Smith situation. Kind of confusing. Wow, ESPN fired Stephen A, but not really. They didn't really fire him. They just fired him from the NBA part of the show. So that was interesting.
Like Stephen A. Smith, I'm glad that he's still on the show. The man has shtick.
100%. He's hard to ignore. He's a big personality. Like him or not, like what he's talking about or not, it's kind of hard to turn away when Steven's talking. I think most people, and we're no experts, but I think most people are talking about ESPN's kind of making it a point to shift the NBA, promotion or the NBA show, bringing in more of, basketball type player driven format, player analytics, that kind of thing. Just more basketball experts. Stephen A is kind of a well-rounded guy. So, he's still an ESPN employee. I don't think he's taking this, too hard. He's got a lot of other platforms on that show. So, uh, Stephen A is going to still be around. Um, let's talk about baseball off season. This is a major, kind of a little under the radar here, but major leagues, their new TV rights deal for Major League Baseball is very interesting. Talking about, baseball's always kind of been considered a little sluggish in coming to, the modern times in so many ways, but not with their new Major League Baseball TV deal. They just inked a deal with ESPN. NBC Sunday Night Baseball is back. And the real eye catcher for me was Netflix is going to be part of the broadcast rights. So that's kind of interesting.
I love it. The more
Yes,
baseball, the better. When do
yes.
pitchers and catchers report?
Um, well, we're looking forward to that every year. Is it late February, early March, something like
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, we've been texting each other for 55 years, I think. Every time pitchers and catchers report, it's a beautiful time of year.
Sure is, man.
Yep. Um, so baseball didn't just change networks this time. They literally changed eras by launching into the whole streaming world. So what's going to be quicker? The pitch count or the buffering? We'll see. I don't know. But welcome to Netflix MLB. And then finally, this one might have gone way under the radar unless you are really into the pub scene or the dart scene. And no, I'm not talking about Jackson Dart. I'm talking
Speaking
about
speaking of
actual
last
darts.
yeah, speaking of last call,
Last call. So, the 2025 Grand Slam of Darts, a female player, first one ever, set a world record 102.46 3 dart average on TV. Wow, what the heck does that mean? Well, what that means is she was throwing darts like a maniac. And by the way, this isn't, your dad's dart games here where you're back in the corner of a dark bar with a little piece of tape on the line, on the floor, can't go over the line. This is like a big deal. So basically, what she did was she averaged 102.46 for every 3 darts she threw. That's like getting a triple 20, a triple 20, and a 12, a triple 20, a triple 19. Anybody that throws a darts out thing, listen, anything over 90 is elite. Anything 100 plus is world class. She averaged 102. So, listen, the takeaway is the place was packed. It was literally like a UFC fight. Don't believe me? Google it. Go watch this thing. It maybe darts is the up and coming, you know, the way UFC was kind of, 20 years ago sneaking in, taking over boxing. Maybe darts is, on its way to becoming a big time watched sport. Who knows? Me
bring
too.
it.
Me too. Why not? Hey, listen, we've all done it at one point or the other. Sometimes it was, throwing them at each other in the front yard for fun. Back in the day when we used to, we're locked out of the house till 6 p.m.
And
But enough
accidentally
about
hitting
that.
and
Yeah, what?
accidentally hitting a football and popping the football. Oh
Up.
man.
Yeah, or accidentally hitting your sister. Sorry, as you pulled
Oh,
it out of the back of her leg, whatever.
oh, bullseye.
Hey, you should have been fast. You should
Oh.
have ran faster. Not my fault. But I think we all get the point on that one.
Oh,
Uh, well, yeah, sorry.
that was brutal.
Let, yeah, well, remember, I used to throw darts when I was bored. So, last night I was really in trouble, man. I was throwing up all night long. Sorry. I'm feeling a lot better this morning, but I'm thinking to myself, I really should not have put that dartboard on the ceiling.
Oh,
Let's talk about football.
dun, dun,
All
dun,
right.
dun.
Choo,
Love
choo.
it.
Are we talking about college football first?
I think we should
All
because
right.
before the show you mentioned a little something about the college committee controversy?
We're going to start with the CFP. Wow.
I think we
Okay.
should.
We can. Hold on. Did I bring my flask of tequila down here with me? Because I need to probably do a shot before I get into this. The
You
CFP. Wow. A
you
lot
can't
going on
drink
there.
all day if you don't start early.
Mm, good point. Something that we have subscribed to several times in our lives. Shouldn't really bring up probably Key Biscayne or the beach when we're talking about that, but good times. Well, let's talk about the CFP. So they got a little, what is it called? They got a little, trustworthiness, a little trustworthy problem on their hands. A lot of
Again?
people, yeah, I know, right? It's like, wow. I mean, just let's put it this way: a lot of people just scratch their heads sometimes. If they didn't say a word publicly, then maybe it might be better for them. But unfortunately, they have these, weekly shows that come out, and everybody tunes in to see what they're going to say. And after those are done, there's more head scratching than before they open their mouths. And so we can talk about some specific issues. But you got any
Sure.
thoughts on this whole thing?
You're the active listening champion, and I believe before the show you mentioned something about what isn't there a new member of the college football selection committee now, and he happens to be the AD for Utah?
So the previous chairman was the Utah AD, and what's very interesting is due to some conflicts, controversy. I It might be out there. I'm not really exactly sure of the details, but he stepped down voluntarily, forced out, and so then the new chairman is also an AD, but this time of Arkansas. However, the previous chairman was replaced by a Utah AD, a Utah other employee. So, Utah's still very well represented in the CFP. So, anyways, it's just a mess. What I don't like about it is they just contradict themselves every time they open their mouth. On one hand, they talk about, Oregon, for example. They have really no great wins, but they did beat Penn State when Penn State was highly ranked, and they claim, well, that mattered because at the time Penn State was very highly ranked, even though everyone knows Penn State sucks now. But the CFP used that win way back then as a very big benchmark for Oregon's resume. Okay, fine. But they also mentioned Miami's losses to two unranked teams. They're not really that good of losses, despite the fact that when Miami played Louisville and SMU, and by the way, both those teams are 7-3, and both those games were lost, one in overtime, one by less than 4 points. That those games don't really matter in Miami's schedule because they're unranked, even though they were ranked at the time the games were played. At least Louisville was. So I don't know. It's back and forth. How far teams fall and all that. I will say, as a Miami fan, and I've got my green and orange glasses on. I admit it, but this is a quote from the new chairman, Hunter Yurachek. Miami needs to continue to win the football games they have in front of them, two left, and good things will happen. Um, when asked, well, what good things? They'd have to jump over three teams, kind of crickets on that one. So Miami's projected to be an 11th seed. What is BYU got to lose? Does Utah have to lose? I don't know. And then why is Miami ranked so far behind Notre Dame when Notre Dame lost to Miami head to head, and they had the same exact records? Notre Dame says, well, our losses were to two very good ranked teams. Yes, they were, Texas A&M and Miami. Um, I I just don't understand. But here's the CFP's reason why the head to head is not really getting that much attention. It's because we haven't compared those two teams together, Miami and Notre Dame. Well, why not? Well, because they're not in a comparable tier. Yeah, meaning they're too far apart to be compared together because they're not in the tiers they need to be in to be compared. Now, he did say, well, listen, if both teams end up in a comparable tier, meaning close enough together, I guess, well, then head to head will be a significant data point. Test it, tequila. What the hell does that mean? Sorry for cussing.
That's stupid, and it's going to drive me to tears and probably a lot of other fans.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and that's just Miami. I could literally pick other teams, and they would have very similar arguments. Think if you're Utah or like Georgia Tech, for example. No offense. I mean, listen, I'm happy it happened, right? Miami jumps over Georgia Tech when Georgia Tech was on a bye, and Miami's victory was over an NC State team. Blew them out, so it was a good win. But I mean, it's just, you know, it's very scary that your playoff future and all that comes with that is in the hands of 12 people who, at least from the spokesman's point of view, can't even explain how they really do this stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. It,
Committee, what a good idea.
yeah, full of ads and coaches from other teams who are also involved. You know, weird, but
And it's
hey,
and it's becoming more and more obvious that what are they there to do? They have shows to produce.
yes, you know what? That is a great point. We need to remember that the college football playoff, it's like Dancing with the Stars, it's like Survivor, it's like American Idol. Seriously, it is a competition that they want to draw the maximum amount of people. It is a show, and they cannot help themselves. And maybe I couldn't either. Looking at the 12 teams that they're going to put into this show, looking at the 12 contestants for Dancing with the Stars, looking at the 12, candidates, contestants for American Idol, they want to put in the best 12 for maximum viewership. And let's face it, and I'm biased, but if you're looking at Utah or BYU versus a Miami, and I'm assuming some things here, sorry, Utah and BYU fans, but most people would say, well, I'd rather watch Miami play Notre Dame in a rematch, or Miami play Georgia with Carson Beck going against his old team. And the U on the helmet matters. People still hate Miami, So, anyways, it's a show. And that comes into play. That's why I think they keep saying if Miami keeps winning, don't worry. And even though it's okay, mathematically, I don't see it happening. That's probably why. So there you go.
And to close this subject, I remember growing up, and you and I would be talking to each other. Hey, did you see the coaches poll? Yeah,
Yep.
but
Yep.
when does the AP poll come out?
Right.
We
Right.
had two polls. We didn't
Right.
have a selection committee. We didn't have a television show. And
Right.
it really mattered on who beat who on the field, period.
To a point, Colorado and Georgia
To a
Tech
point.
say hi. Split national championship in 1990, if I'm not mistaken. So, and that's
Yes,
almost like illegitimate because it wasn't like boxing. It wasn't a unified belt. But
true.
hey, BCS tried to fix it. We'll do it with computers, and then everyone complained it doesn't have the eye test. Computers can't tell the difference between what teams look like and how bad they beat them. I'm
No.
not saying this isn't a good answer. Go to 16 playoff teams and then 17 bitches. I mean, excuse me, complains. Whatever. It's just when you come out, say something logical that makes sense to most people. You
Yeah.
don't have to explain yourselves other than why you're ranking certain teams where they are, and don't say it's because Miami and Notre Dame are too far apart in the tiers to compare head to head. All right, let's talk college football. The actual
Yes.
games on the field.
And speaking of what we just mentioned, we've got Pitt heading into Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech, who's ranked
Love it.
16th.
Yep.
What do you think about that ball game, Joe?
Okay, well, I have a different perspective than some because I really Miami has a very very little chance of making the ACC championship game. We need about five things to happen. Is it possible? Yes. One of them would be for Georgia Tech to lose. So I am, on that side of the fence in wanting that to happen. However, after Notre Dame throttled Pitt And Miami's last game is against Pitt at Pitt. Part of me wants them to win so that they can at least be perceived as still a pretty good team. So if Miami beats them, it looks like it mattered more. After Notre Dame killing them, if Georgia Tech beats them, that game won't hold nearly as much clout. So, most of me really wants them to, beat Georgia Tech to maintain their, you know, whatever level of perception they have.
Who do you have in that one? Pitt at Georgia Tech.
I'm gonna take Pitt. I think they're mad.
Okay. No one likes a mad Pitt.
Yeah, well, also no one likes Georgia Tech's defense giving up, 40,000 points to Boston College, who's 1-10.
That
So that's the other reason.
that was a strange game at Chestnut Hill. I still scratching my head on that one, but
Yeah, who you got?
I'm gonna go with Georgia Tech at home.
Yeah, good one.
And I
Yeah,
know you're writing all these down in ink, and we will have a tally of how we're doing as we do our. I think we might have to do it as we approach the Thanksgiving Lollapalooza weekend or something. Maybe we'll come out with
yes.
how we're doing. I know I have a slight lead over you, but
I'm sure
I'm
it's pretty massive. Might have to start doing double or nothing. But don't worry, I'm going to cancel my family trip to Europe or wherever I was going to make sure I count the tallies. All right, next game, USC, Oregon. What you got? Who do you think?
Oh boy. I'm gonna have to play the Homer game again, Joe. I'm taking the Ducks at home, and mainly because of one thing, and that's the head coach Dan Lanning and the defense.
I am going to take the Ducks at home, and because they probably should win. By the way, you know, USC is if you start looking at what they're giving up in yardage and all that kind of stuff, man, I don't even know, quite frankly, how they're even going to stop Oregon. So, and again, this is quit talking about Miami's implications. Well, I'm sorry, there's 2 games left, and I cannot risk USC beating Oregon and jumping over Miami because they're only a couple behind Miami. So, anyways, it's a big deal. Listen, Oregon has won 7 straight home games against ranked opponents. USC has allowed 30 points or more in their last 8 of 10 games. That's a bad matchup against Oregon's tempo and offensive firepower. So that's taking Miami out of the equation. Oregon should win this game.
And so we're in agreement on that one. Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Yep. Missouri, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I know what I am going to hear you say, and I'll. You would love to see Missouri play Road Warriors and go in and knock off Boomer Sooner, wouldn't
I need them to.
you?
No, I need them to. That gives Oklahoma their 3rd loss. Bye bye.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, I forgot. They are the SEC. I forgot you can have 4 losses in the SEC and still be ranked in the top 10, because they're so competitive. Sorry, SEC fans, but it's true. But I
Oh,
think a 3rd loss will knock Oklahoma far enough back where
well,
they'll
I
be
don't.
out of it.
No, I'm not so convinced. It's a show. And Oklahoma's in a different tier now than the Mizzou Tigers, right?
Probably, yes.
There's an
But don't forget, they can put Vanderbilt in there because Vanderbilt's just outside looking into. So they'll still have an SEC representative.
yeah, don't like it.
Missouri's 5-1 when they hold opponents to under 300 total yards. Win last week against Alabama, it was all defense. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see if that stat, which we don't like to talk a lot of stats, but some stats are not ignorable. They're unignorable. That if you hold them to 300 yards or less, you have a really good chance of winning. Um, let's see. I would love to see Missouri beat them, and I'm going with my wallet. No, my heart, Missouri.
Okay, gotcha. And you just stole the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say I'm going to pick Missouri. I'm going with my heart, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to
Nice.
pick Mizzou for the upset. Speaking of teams that are mad,
Yeah.
Missouri wants some attention, and they're a good football team. So upset Boomer Sooner Saturday coming up, folks. That's what we're thinking.
Would love to see that. I thought Oklahoma would have been out of here last week, but thank you, Alabama, for nothing. Hey, we need quickly to go over just we can't ever do our show without talking about our teams. Miami's at Virginia Tech, even though Virginia Tech has officially hired Franklin. By the way, what a great hire for Virginia Tech. They used to be relevant. So that was something I wanted to talk about, anyways, briefly. That what a great hire. And don't forget, people think West Virginia, Virginia Tech, up there in the mountains of Virginia, and then, Penn State. Well, that is a very similar geography. So Franklin's recruiting that area won't change a whole lot. So, and
No,
then I saw Virginia Tech put, I could be wrong, but it was like $220 million committed to upgrading the football programs, including facilities and all that, NIL, everything. Hey, give it a year or two, but Virginia Tech could be back to the days where they were relevant.
and they have the best college football stadium entrance. At least they're at the top. Miami, the Orange Bowl. Sorry, Miami at Hard Rock now, where they come out through the smoke. The Knowles with the Renegade throwing the spear, Osceola. But that Sandman entry, Virginia Tech, I wouldn't mind to
Right.
see him come back. I thought that Franklin was going to pass on that one, and we might see Shane Beamer come back and take his old man's job at Virginia Tech. I thought that was going to be
Would have
the
been nice.
scenario, but it didn't happen now. So,
Great hire. And I don't think it was a 25-year deal like these schools are
mm-hmm.
doing. I think it was a reasonable 4 or 5 year deal. Hey, listen, Virginia Tech used to be a scary place to play. Arguably the best team ever in college football. And this is not my words. The 2001 Miami Hurricanes, they were a field goal away from going into overtime against Virginia Tech back then. And that field goal was blocked. And let me tell you something, a lot of teams have struggled there. So now they are terrible right now. So I'm not too worried about this game, although Miami's November and Miami don't go well together. So we'll see. And then Florida State, who we got? Who's Florida State playing?
They're playing tonight, so I got my game jersey on at
Ah,
at a house of horrors for them. The ACC blessed us with our second Friday night game this year on the road. First one was at Virginia, which we lost in, what was it, overtime or double OT? Okay, great. So now they have us going to another house of horrors for us, well known, at Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Carolina. Thanks, ACC schedulers. We love you too. But anyway, I'm going to pick the Knowles. Castellanos looked a lot quicker against Virginia Tech last weekend, so I think he's got his health back. Of course, I'm speaking with my heart. Knowles, go out there and beat the Wolfpack, baby.
should be a good game. CJ Bailey had arguably, I don't even think it's arguably, CJ Bailey, without argument, had the most horrendous game of his entire college career against Miami last week. It was his homecoming from South Florida. It was horrible. It was a beatdown. They were shut out. They got 7 points on literally the third string defense for Miami. It'll be a good game because Castellanos versus CJ Bailey should be a decent matchup. I think if North Carolina State can run the ball like they try to do or want to do against Miami, then I think they might handle business. But we'll see. You know, both teams looking for a win for sure.
That's for sure.
So, all right, let's move on to the NFL. Colts, Kansas City. Who would have thought that we were saying Kansas City's 5-5, and after last night's wow. Houston defense beat down at Buffalo 7-4, but Kansas City really needs a win, and it's probably not a good time to be playing the Colts. What do you think?
And you just said, who'd have thought beginning of the season we'd be talking about the Chiefs at 5-5? Who would have thought that we would even be discussing the Colts as anything?
Equally as shocking.
It sure is. So everybody's thinking about it. And for that ball game, you know that's going to have some high ratings for that football show because everybody wants to watch to see if Kansas City will end up losing another one and going to 5-6. We know what teams, what fans want it the most. Your Raiders fans, Broncos, Chargers. But man, we got to do a pick on that one. Scratching my head. Are the Colts really for real? What do you think?
Well, so people are giving New England, who's 9-2, kind of a hard time because they're looking at New England's schedule
Mm-hmm.
and they're saying, well, out of your 11 games, I think like 8 were against teams that are below 500 or something like that. They're giving them a hard time. But the Colts, not so much. The teams that they're playing that are bad, like the Raiders, they're beating 40-6, or the Dolphins 33-8, or the Bengals without Joe Burrow 41-14. But the teams that are good, they're beating, the Broncos. They're beating, the teams that are arguably very good. So they've had a decent schedule. So they're not afraid to play Kansas City as far as matching up on paper. I'm going to go with the Colts here to beat Kansas City on the road because Kansas City's reeling, and I think they're going to be pressing, and the Colts are, you know, they're not.
You backing that up is pressing isn't the word, but I'm going to take Kansas City at home in this one just simply because they've got to win this game.
Yeah, yeah, they
They've
do.
got to.
Yeah, they really
So,
need to.
yep.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. If the Colts can protect the quarterback, the Chiefs have 3 or more sacks in 8 straight games. So, if Jones when Jones is under pressure, he's a different quarterback than when he's not.
Right.
So we'll see how that holds up. But I'll be honest with you, Kansas City's defense just doesn't look as frightening as it used to be. How about Bucs and Rams? What do you think about that?
Whew, man. Baker Mayfield, you mentioned when we were chatting a couple weeks ago, you really wonder if he's healthy. Remember that something with that. Bucks have to get this game, and they're going up against the Rams defense. People don't talk about it. The Texans defense. We're going to talk a little more about the Texans just before we wrap. But that Rams defense, I just don't see. I don't see the Bucs being able to push through. They really miss Mike Evans. That's pretty obvious. They are supposed to get Godwin back. They're supposed to get Bucky Irvin back. So, but the Rams, man, I think the Rams take it at home.
Yeah, well, why not? First of all, I saw the injury report for the Buccaneers, and Baker Mayfield was questionable. I think, he just has to get 2 practices in, full practices, and I think he'll be upgraded to, healthy. But is he? Um, and listen, Tampa's allowed 18 touchdowns in their last 8 road games. That's just too many. And the Rams' defense is underrated, yes, but their offense is not. They are playing really well on both sides of the ball. So we'll see, but I just don't think the Buccaneers can hang with the Rams, especially on the road. By the way, this game for the Buccaneers is very scary in the sense that you're looking at um, the Buccaneers are getting on that danger zone here. They're like hanging from a cliff. And what they're, it's not a rope, it's dental floss. You know, they they really need, yeah, they're on the cusp.
Oh,
So, yeah, I mean, you don't have any experience with the dentist or anything lately, do
you
you?
just reminded me. I just got back this morning from taking my wife to her dental appointment.
Wow.
The receptionist was really surprised to see me, and I just told her I'm just here with my wife for oral support.
Oh, oral support.
Yeah, yeah, but she's okay.
Yeah. Yes. Well,
She's okay.
that's good. Well, that was the main question
Yeah.
is Rosa doing okay? That's the main thing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No, Listen, I never liked the dentist. Who does? But one thing I will say, when I was about 13 or 14, and I used to go to the dentist in Miami, Dr. Barry, the hygienist, I really liked her a lot. I mean, she freckly and all that. Just, to me as a 14-year-old, I really liked her. So I was thinking of ways to, kind of maybe spend more time in that room. And so I used to sit in the waiting room, and about 10 minutes before my appointment, I would eat about 10 Oreos and not brush my teeth. And so, yeah, we got to know each other. It was great. So,
Wow.
yeah, I know. Good strategy.
Without
Mhm.
milk.
Nothing. Go in there and go, hi, and smile big, hey, how you doing?
Eh,
But anyways, I'm glad Rose is feeling better. Okay. Well, what do you
good
got? Bucks,
strategy.
Rams? You going to Rams, I guess?
Yes, sir.
Me too.
Yep.
Eagles, Cowboys. I like it.
Yeah, I like that one too. And this one's in Dallas, and I'm gonna pick a little bit of an upset on this one. I'm gonna take the Cowboys at home.
I mean,
And I really, really like Pickens, the receiver for the Cowboys.
yeah, he
What
looks
his
good.
emergence has done is it has created a very serious two receiver threat with Pickens and CD Lamb. And that
Yeah.
really changes his Dallas's offensive dynamic. And I'm going with my heart, picking
Yeah.
Dallas.
Yeah. Well, if I was going in my heart, it wouldn't be Dallas because I can't stand them because my brother loves them. But anyways, the Eagles are 8-2. The Cowboys are 4-5-1. Yeah, I know, Mr. Ty in there. I don't know why everyone think. Why is this perception going around that Dallas is like good? They're terrible. Don't let the Raiders game fool you. Okay, everyone looks good against the Raiders. The,
Okay.
these two teams don't belong on the same field together. Eagles are 4-1 at home. They're also 4-1 on the road. Eagles. Eagles take care of business. Really, no problem.
Okay, I
So, and
got
by the
you.
way, their offensive struggles, they're not going to be fixed in this game, but they're going to start trending in the right direction because all week long, that's all the Eagles have been doing is figuring out what the hell is wrong with our offense. And so they're going to have some kind of better game plan.
So they're on a different tier, you're telling me. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
see. That's why
Yeah.
they play the game.
Yeah. They'll be tears all right in Irving, Texas. Okay. Steelers, Bears. What do you got?
Honorable mention, but can we throw a pick in? I think it'd be fun. Why not? Steelers at the Bears.
Do it.
We
I love
had
it.
to mention the Bears. Look
Yeah.
at the Bears.
Well, they're 7-3. I mean, surprise or not. By the way, they win ugly, but they win.
Yeah. And they're the cardiac Chicago Bears now. They're winning a lot of their games late. And saw something about Aaron Rodgers is going to try very, very hard to play, and because he has a slight, what is it, a hairline fracture or some type of a fracture in his wrist, his left wrist. So, whatever. I'm going to take the Bears. I think they beat Pittsburgh.
Well, they'll probably be favored, so it's not like a big wow, stretch like they stretch your mouth open in a dentist's office. I mean,
Oh,
listen, your strained, fractured left wrist, who cares? I mean, listen, the Steelers are looking over their shoulder. They're 6-4. Guess who's 5-5? Right behind them, amongst other teams. The Steelers will find themselves out of the wild card spot in about 2 weeks if they don't pick it up a notch. They're going to play hard. They're going to really want to win this game, even though it's interconference. I don't think they can, but they're going to try. So I'm going to bet my wallet and go with the Bears.
gotcha.
And you are too, right?
The Bears.
Yeah. Um, Before we go, I want to mention last night's game, by the way. I watched that game, and the last few minutes was very exciting. Buffalo got the ball. I just want to bring up one point. Buffalo looks like they're in trouble, man. Their defense, Houston with a backup quarterback who's okay, scored 20 points in the first half. By the way, there was a pick six that got called back, became a field goal. It could have been worse. And Buffalo on offense just does not look like the Buffalo we know. But on the last drive, so they get the ball back. They're down, a touchdown, and They need a touchdown. They got plenty of time, 2 minutes, 3 timeouts. So Josh Allen got sacked 8 times last night. Um,
Crazy.
it was maybe nine. I might have lost count. I'm not an expert, but it was a lot. I think it was his career high. So they get the ball. They get sacked a couple of times. They end up with a 4th and 27
Yeah.
from like their own 25, 30-yard line. And what do? The old, they didn't call it the hook and ladder, but you and I know what a hook and ladder look like because we've seen one back in the day. They throw basically a crossing pattern, lateral hook and ladder, except it wasn't a hook, it was a crossing pattern. And they pick up the first down on a 4th and 27. Should never happen in the NFL. But anyways, they get down to like the 25, 20-yard line. They got 50 seconds or more, plenty of time, timeouts. And you're thinking, here comes Buffalo. No. Another sack. Um, Allen was running for his life. He might have gotten sacked 8 or 9 times, but it could have been 15. He got rid of the ball several times in the grasp. Houston's defense is legit. If they can just get their offense to get into the 25, 28 points a game range, they are going to be a really tough out.
Yeah. They've been a great defense all year. And I got a friend by the name of James. He lives in Houston. He sent a text this morning talking about, he said that defense was awesome. And I agreed with him. And I did tell him, though, those orangish red, all red, orange jerseys last night. I said, there's one thing, though, you guys need to work on that uniform because they look like a bunch of oversized Bloody Marys. And you know what he said back to me this morning? He goes, oh, thanks a lot. Now I'm thinking about having an early beer. I was, okay,
Yeah,
good for
yeah,
you. It's Friday. But
that's right.
he
Love it.
said he said he's going to get a Bloody Mary, a beer, and go buy one of those jerseys. Oh, good for you. Good for you. But
Hey, you,
yeah.
you know what do they call that when you put tomato juice in a beer?
Uh,
There's a name for that. Anyways, hey, Texans now are 6-5,
yeah,
with arguably a terrible, well, not terrible, a serviceable offense. But the AFC South, 8-2 Colts, 6-4 Jaguars, and the 6-5 Texans. Keep an eye on that division. It's looking pretty good.
sure is.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But that's been it'll be a good weekend to look forward to watching some good games there. Um, so that's it for this episode of the Undrafted Armchair Quarterbacks with Jim and Joe. Thanks for checking us out and hanging with us for some real fan-driven sports talk.
Don't forget, your comments are a part of the show. Drop them below. We'll read them in future episodes. Be sure to like, subscribe, and catch us every week for free on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you listen. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you, Joe.
All right, brother. I'll see you next time, man, and have a great one. Talk to you soon.
You too. Thanks.